We have to see a result here. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are interested because a bunch of stuff.
Are we actually going to the game?
Yes.
Okay.
We are starting it, Matt. We're going to get there. Okay, so we talked. The Fearless Wrecking Ball is quite interesting. Did you know that Fearless was actually #1 in final blows out of all Wrecking Balls last week, and #1 in knockback kills? Oh, so minefield kills. Excuse me. So he didn't even have a high amount of deaths. Actually, he was like 8th in terms of deaths in a good way. So. That's pretty good. I do think, in my opinion, if Fearless turns out to be like a top-tier Wrecking Ball, then that has to seal the deal for an MVP for me because that signifies a ridiculous improvement over the late part of the season.
That would seal the deal for an MVP for you.
Yep, 100%. If he can can play Wrecking Ball at the top level, absolutely, yeah. Then the guy's got like no weaknesses across all roles. He's just dominant.
I feel like there's some other candidates. I think Fearless started out probably the strongest out of the bunch. I think Void's got to be up there. Lip with how he's played. I think Sparkle's been tremendous. I even think Pelican could be an argument with how Atlanta's made some tournaments. We can take a look at the Dallas Fuel starting lineup today. No Pine. I predicted that, but I don't think it'll happen. We do have Fielder and Jexay, so no Repel to kick things off. Probably going to play some Ana potentially here for the Dallas Fuel.
Sparkle was frightening last week. I think he broke multiple final blow records on the Fire, or at least matched them at the very least here. But you know what? It was actually his Tracer that gave them that huge comeback opportunity against San Francisco. He had the highest hero damage on Tracer, and he's second in final blow solo kills and pulse bomb kills on Tracer. We've seen some real resurgent Tracer players this week. I think Dalton is a more recent example from yesterday, so he'll have to work harder to impress us that much, but this is a very good hero pool for Dallas, right? Ashe isn't even available to be picked. They wouldn't be picking her anyway. The only question mark, right? The only asterisks were about the Wrecking Ball and about the Zenyatta play. We've seen Fielder pick that up and look pretty good, though. The London Spitfire, on the other hand, it was a pretty rough series to watch against the Defiant. It looked like two teams that were uncertain about the best way to play in this hero pool.
It was rough from the sense that you felt like London could actually have stolen that game. That Toronto kind of left the door open a lot of times, and London just did not take advantage. They talked about on the desk yesterday how London's teamfight win percentage higher with Sparker. We don't see him at the start of the series today. We didn't see him at all yesterday either. They ran a lot with Shax and Blase as their DPS lineup. So Nepal will be the first one. London did play a lot of Tracer Sombra yesterday. They did the first map that they did win yesterday, Ilios, they played a 76 composition.
Yeah.
So maybe we see something like that come out.
It was like a slower Sombra soldier setup, yeah.
Yeah, but they're on the clock now, London. We didn't talk about it. No, the Titans get a 3-0 win yesterday. Not just a win, a 3-0 crushing of the Uprising. That leaves London as our only team winless here in North America. In 13 games, 13 losses already. This will be their 14th. Only 2 more opportunities after this left. It's not looking good for the Spitfire. They gotta even building off of what they did the other day against Toronto. It wasn't great. They had opportunities. They took a map. But when a team kind of lets you into a series like that, you have to be able to take advantage.
Have to convert when the door gets opened for you. That Temple of Anubis map probably still haunts this Spitfire roster. Okay, here it is. The last time these two teams played, it was a convincing Dallas Fuel 3-0 victory. London know they are the David in this David versus Goliath situation. And they'll be looking up in more ways than one because Doha, again, is going to be on the Farah here. This puts Sparkle on Tracer. So Sparkle obviously can play the Farah, but his Tracer's been amazing, and this comp looks good for Dallas.
Yeah, and this is the composition that the London Spitfire actually won with yesterday. The Zen Brig with the 76 in the mix. So just trying to, poke down Doha in the sky. You see, the D.Va getting in his face, gets quite low, going to have to use the booster to get back up, but you see Malphite doing a nice job putting pressure on them, and Shax is going to be able to take out Fielder on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, Doha not able to find too much. Fearless just goes over the edge there, and we're watching Doha for most of that time, but I think my question is, what's Sparkle up to? Calyx obviously causing him some problems, making it hard for the Tracer to really get in there, but Dallas looked a little bit inefficient in terms of actually singling out a target there.
Yeah, it makes it difficult, right? When you have the 76 putting damage on the Pharah, the D.Va can get up in the sky, put some pressure. And then when your Tracer goes in on the opponent backline, right? You know, the Brig, the Zen, the 76 there to be able to protect with consistent damage makes it hard. But we'll have a Nano here from Fielder. Potentially could use it on the Doha here, as you know, the Nano onto the Pharah has been pretty strong throughout this tournament thus far.
Doha's been getting a liberal application of the Discord orb to him via Ripper, so yes, the Fuel are going to need something to make him a little bit more durable, and that seems to be the option. Tough to catch Blase. He's dodging, docking, and weaving. And he does go down to Fielder eventually, though. Doha more of a distraction, apparently. Shax is at least going to get rid of the enemy Tracer, so good looks here for London, but eventually Doha is able just to overcome them. It's a brute force solution, though, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely. They have to use the Nano and Barrage there towards the end, where London, all they ended up using is their Minefield. They're going to come back with both support ults in this fight, Attack Visor, which with all the open space here could be very difficult for Doha to hide and maybe kind of clip Jekse. Maybe you're able to put this back if you're London, because they already have 60%. Really good first hold there for the Spitfire.
Nice early lead for London. Now it's a matter of maintaining composure and regaining control. Sparkle obviously toting a pulse bomb here. I feel like that's the least of the Spitfire's concerns. Here comes Attack Visor from an off angle from Blase. Unlikely the Fuel were ready for this one. And oh, yep, tough for Jekse. He can't really dump altitude from there. He tries to hide behind the Pagoda. And he gets away for a moment. Shax is going to go down though, and look at this Spark, which just costs Blase. Looks like Fearless helped out a little bit there as well. This will not only allow Dallas to stall longer map, but it's pretty unlikely that the Spitfire have the elbow grease to push him off the point.
No, and now they've kind of used everything that they had in terms of their ultimates. We were talking about coming into that fight, and we're going to be about even in terms of percentage here. Benefit here, though, is that they did end up taking out Fearless. So can they use this Minefield and just, you know, the tankiness of having Molfig and Hadi alive to put the point? But it doesn't look likely, as you're going to see a D-Mech here on a Molfig.
Now the structure for the Spitfire breaks down into nothing but stragglers. I think Hardy was hanging around to see if he could maybe find something, playing close to the edge of the map, maybe a knockoff, but that's instead what he is almost inflicted with. Jekse down here, so the Spitfire want to keep challenging. Dallas are up to 86% now, so London definitely had to make it happen here, and they do.
Yeah, and it's a change from London, maybe just out of the necessity of just trying to come back and make something happen quickly. Blase switches over to the Sombra, so we saw this a lot yesterday. It was either the 76 or the Sombra for the London Spitfire. So see if Blase can get these hacks onto Fearless, right? When the Wrecking Ball's hacked, he loses all mobility, survivability. It's a fairly easy target to hack as well. They get a hack, though, on the Sparkle, and they're able to burn him down.
Yeah, Shax is just trying to imply that he gets a pulse bomb. Looks like he didn't really intend to use it with the D.Va there. Hanbin is one of the top D.Va players in the league. You don't really want to get caught sleeping around him. Good damage on Fielder, forces a self-bio nade. Pulse bomb thrown in for Shax. He does not connect it though. And it's 99 now on the point. Minefield going to be thrown up by Fearless, and Doha goes for the barrage. He's good for two. Slept in the middle of it. We got rid of both DPS on the side of the Spitfire. That nano boost now for Ripper doesn't really have a good outlet. Maybe it just gets used to keep Molfig alive, and yep, that's the case. Sparkle respecting Kelek somewhat, of course, as a shield bash is always going to be a potential threat to the Tracer. But it's a matter of London buying time, get reinforcements back on the point, with the body grenade might have sealed the deal. Nicely done by Fielder. The connection is onto both supports of the London Spitfire, and Doha is more than happy to acquiesce and clean up. Hardy's going to be knocked aside off the point here, and that'll be Dallas back in control. One more fight to end it.
And you're going to have another fight here for London, but they ended up throwing all their ultimates into that one. Maybe thinking Blase could come back and farm up an EMP, but does not have an EMP just yet. So close. He needs to be able to get this one off.
He'll have to take the risk by popping it while potentially being visible here. Manual hack, that's good. The collapse on the Fielder, but Harmin's there with the defense matrix. Okay, Fielder survives that somehow. Meanwhile, Sparkle and Kellex trade their lives out. The Spitfire have lost their Brig play, but they do get enough time to get that EMP. That might be the difference maker here. Nice pile driver there from Fearless, and Harmin now is going to be getting the nano boost. Both teams just going for D.Va nanos at this stage. Pulse bomb dropped again by Shax. There's no real connection there, and Molfig's going to be desuited. Minefield, keep eyes on that one there, as Hardy needs to be careful about where he rolls on this point. And there's the barrage. It's another good one from Doha. Getting Kellex as soon as he returned to the fight once more will seal the deal for the Fuel.
Yeah, they get the EMP off there at the end, but it only connects with Doha. And there's no follow-up, as obviously you see him alive there towards the end. So they're able to stall the point out for long enough. I thought Hanbin's use of Defense Matrix to go back and protect Fielder was insane. I know as soon as I saw that hack come down, Hanbin within a second was in position to be able to keep his Ana alive. But towards the end, the EMP did not result in anything big.
Final moments there. That's the follow-up on that bionic grenade from Fielder. Always a threat on that Ana, Matt. Kind of guy turning the game on his head, around turned on its head in that case. And we head to Sanctum here as Dallas look to close the map.
Yes, London will come out with a 76 again, so not going to go with that Sombra comp here. Still a little bit confused when we have not seen Sparker from them, considering how good he's been since his debut. See, look at all this space that Dallas has created. Like, just so much damage coming down onto Kellex and Rippa. They have to back up.
Yeah.
You have to get Mulfig in position, and you know, just the spam of the rockets from the Farah are going to make it difficult to get out of this doorway.
Yeah, it's not just the space, it's what Doha does with it. He pushes up immediately and then he plays from above the doorway, so it's hard to reclaim that space with the Spitfire from fear of just getting spattered with rockets. Blaze and Ripper are dead there. Now, sure, Jexer is taken down. Mulfig does his job, but it's not enough.
Right, and you see like the position that Kellex is in, just kind of sat in the corner, just like jumping up and down. Like he's probably used all his, armor packs. He can't get any Inspire procs because what do? You walk into the doorway, you're getting hit with the splash damage from the Farah. You're already going to have a nano boost here, so nano boost plus maybe a barrage as people come through. So this composition, you saw right away, Doha get right up to that door, take space, put down damage, and it's really locked London in their spawn for a lot of this game thus far. Now they're able to make it out though.
They do so, but they're split slightly, and Doha knows that this is where the supports are being kept. Kellex ruined. It's awful playing Brig against the dominant Farah. Nothing he can do to interact with Doha.
And also, Mulfig has to sit here and basically protect the supports. That really makes it difficult to, obviously, not able to get in with a dive with any teammates. Is basically uses all DM there, uses all the defense matrix, then nothing for the rocket barrage. So he'll get taken out as this point's been quite rough here for the London Spitfire.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you have a Farah in control. You have all this space to work with. You have to split your team in half. Your D.Va can't be where she wants to be offensive. Mulfig is forced to try and babysit, and he doesn't have the DM to outlast this onslaught from Doha. Sparker just did a little low there.
You may not even get a rally here if you're London with the way this has gone.
Oh man, it's not looking good. Sparkle effortlessly just lopes on him and removes Kellex from the equation once more. They're feasting on him, Matt.
There's nothing that London can really do. I mean, you're not going to get a rally here. You potentially don't even, get a nano boost as you had to kind of switch off at his end a little bit late as looks like Doha having some difficulties flying out of the room there, but
it wasn't even hacked that time.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really that Kellex or Rippa can do. Yeah, I mean, what does he do? Without the protection of his D.Va there's nothing that can possibly happen.
EMP comes in there. The follow-up, though, is going to be hard to make happen. Shax gets a nano boost here, so it's all on the Tracer, and he can't get the job done. Harbin's able to line him up with the micro rockets, and Doha has a barrage here. Hacked midway through, though. Nicely done by Blaze. Shuts that down. But Kellex has to eat rockets again, and it just doesn't agree with him, Matt. Minefield there. Doha can obviously avoid that for the most part. Just stall, and it's just not enough. The London Spitfire look good in the first round. They brawled. They're scrappy. We know that already. But the Fuel shut them out on Sanctum.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have to see London make some adjustments to deal with this Farah if that's something we see throughout the series for the Dallas Fuel. The 76 didn't really seem to work when they went to the Sombra with the Zen and the Brig. They were not able to protect the support, so something's got to change.
Dallas Fuel looking good. They've got two incredible Farah players to work with, and they can just switch them as they like. Let's see if London Spitfire have anything remotely as impressive up their sleeves. It's map number 2 in this first series of your Saturday. Coming at you after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Now your only damage is going to be a Genji, which isn't the most consistent in the world at trying to do damage, although I say that, look at Doha, just slow! That's the ghost attack!
5, the biggest one from Blippi yet, but the Aki will go down, but not before he can get that nano boost out on a Fearless, who is just cleaving everybody like a monster.
Longo as well, now Italian dies, and Sparkle! Oh my word, that's what we wanted to see.
As expected, a pretty strong start from the Dallas Fuel, and while we spend much of our time on board from a bird's eye view at Doha, Sparkle still is a force to be reckoned with in this series, and obviously he was last week. And I mentioned at the start of the show, it was the switch to putting Sparkle on fire that actually allowed Dallas to finally win that arm wrestle of a game against San Francisco. Quite a banger back in that first week here. You can see these stats. This is obviously specifically for this Countdown Cup, and you can see he's top flight Tracer. And you've got, I mean, his Pharah was top flight as well. Doha showing that he can do it just as well. Even Fearless with some really good Wrecking Ball stats. It's a promising sign, but Matthew, this team needs to do more than slap around teams like the Spitfire if they want to win in Hawaii. again, or even get there for that matter.
Yeah, I think they have proven thus far that they're the top in NA, right? I think still there's
Johnny was saying Atlanta.
Definitely contending. Yeah, I mean that's a valid argument as well right now at this current moment in time. But I think we now have seen Dallas play against like a Shanghai Dragons, this type of composition, and even a Chengdu where some of these teams in APAC, right, playing this composition for a while. Also, some of the teams coming up playing against this comp, right? I know Seoul Dynasty is pretty good.
Yep.
The Fusion are looking re-energized. Like, there's a lot more competition for the Dallas field than just the teams here in NA. So they're going to be judged ultimately by what they do on that global stage, right? Now, they could finish the top in NA. I think that'd be great for their fans, be great for the team, but you have this type of team, and with the way that things have gone for the Dallas Fuel organization throughout the Overwatch League this far, this is your chance, right? This is your opportunity to win the league. The best position you've ever been to do so. Probably absolutely the strongest you've ever been in terms of consistency over a whole season. It would feel like a missed opportunity if they didn't at least get there. They gotta keep it together. They've started off so strong through the early parts of the season. They gotta finish strong now as well.
Absolutely. It is how you finish that's important, Matthew. Dallas Fuel here. Defensively might be playing the Sombra Tracer here, so I don't see any fire from them. Makes sense. This map is so expansive, right? I really feel like it makes a lot of sense to try the bird. And we know that. I mean, this is Sparkle and Doha on absolute comfort picks at this point.
I mean, at the beginning of the season, we wouldn't have called this Tracer for Sparkle a comfort pick, right?
Yeah, but we had to adapt, We had to change the narrative because he was dominating.
That's also why I feel like he is a very strong MVP candidate. Like, with the things that they've asked him to do this year, in swapping between all the damage dealers and having to, deal with not having a hit scan and maybe play some other different things. He's played some Soldier at times in certain situations. It's something a lot of other teams have not had to deal with, where they've dealt with it, and he's really been one to step up. Reinhardt, Ryan with the BAP here, with the Sombra in the mix. This tells me that London is quite scared of Dallas's done. They want to play, very brawly. Now with the Torbjorn in the mix, Tracer Torb a little bit odd, but
the Torb is
Tracer. Yeah, I mean, the Tracer just to try and go into the backline, but the Torbs with the Tracer is a little bit of an odd combo.
Yeah, we don't see it often at all. Maybe a matter of comfort for Shax here. There's a lot of hostile anti-Tracer elements on the Dallas Fuel side as well. Fearless sees the turret. Oh, that's annoying, he says. Guess I better go this way.
And he goes the other way.
Can't connect the power driver there, so a little bit frustrating. That dive has very little impact. London are, playing a very bunkered up style here. Can't play Sigma, so this might be the next best thing while still having the flexibility of D.Va. And constantly harassing in the backline is Sparkle. Lee and Shax are both close to pulse bombs. Transcendence comes out here, and I love this. Teams using this ultimate to get aggressive behind, take space, and Kelix and Ripper, you just cannot ask for better target focus than that, and Hardman's credited with both of those backline kills.
Yeah, you have some kills being traded here where London's able to pick up a few on the way out, but nothing enough to make it interesting, as a hack happened early onto Rippa, then they ended up using the Transcendence and pushing on through. Where I think if you're London, would you have seen better results here? Shax is just trying to put pressure onto the backline, but he's also putting himself in a position where he's a hack target. Where they're trying to, when he was trying to play up on top of big girls, they were trying to hack him constantly. He was able to break it, but when he breaks that hack and he's breaking the line of sight, he's also not putting himself in position to do anything on the backline. So what is the benefit of the Tracer here?
Unclear, to be honest. It's one less element to deal with the Wrecking Ball, and you don't even have a Z anyway, Matt. So, no Discord Orb available. Sparkle able to find a Pulse Bomb, but no real impact there. It's going to be a remix self-destruct right now for Han, because he wants to get back to the fight. Dallas will play this style slowly. This is good practice for them, for sure. Against what London are trying to bring. They're going to be very susceptible to the Earth Shatter. That's something you can't really block here. And the self-destruct over the top is perfect. Jexa goes down, even out of shield. Must have been broken. And the Spitfire will get what they came for here. At EMP has no follow-up.
And I imagine this is going to be a swap. I actually thought they were going to use the EMP in combination with the rally and push through. As Doha was in position for seemed like a very long time, but looks like we're going to see some swaps here. So you'll have a Hangzhou in the mix now. That's really it. So you'll still have Fielder on the Zen. So just the Hangzhou here. Just long-range, consistent damage onto this Reinhardt shield. Make it difficult to take some space.
Well, it's just annoying to hack with a Reinhardt in play because he just turns 180 and whoever you're trying to hack standing close to the Reinhardt is saved. Like, it breaks up the manual hack. So going for Hangzhou here makes more sense. Pressure the shield, get Discord Orb on Hardy and watch him just explode. That's a nasty little pile driver there. Reinhardt is steadfast though, so it doesn't bother him too much. Minefield thrown out, Shaq's stun has to recall immediately. No casualties yet in this fight. It's slow going, and that's how the Spitfire like it with this setup.
But they need to get the Reinhardt into a position where they can brawl with it as they try and go inside with the Rhine and rotate around. They drop an Amp Matrix. I don't think this is going to result in anything as nobody playing within line of sight here. As a rally's going to happen as well. Transcendence out here for the Dallas Fuel.
Oh, it's a tough one for Sparkly. Knew with the rally in play that getting pulse bomb kills wasn't even guaranteed. And very risky, of course, moving up to the death ball. He falls foul of Plaze's Rivet Gun. Either way. And this is working for the London Spitfire. An unconventional take on this anti-dive composition, but it's getting them some value. Dallas need to find a way to break it.
Yeah, I wonder if you have to make like a, do you still play the ball into this? Do you maybe go even for like a Winston type of pick? Bring in the Ana and you kind of farm up bananas. That's a potential.
I'd love
here.
it to match Ryan. That would be funny. I'm sure they're not Dallas are not practicing Ryan comps right now. I get it.
Probably not.
Okay.
All right.
Wait, he's nasty. That right click up close when he's overloaded, it's like a Mack truck.
I mean, the Twerp is such a difficult matchup for like a Tracer, right? Where the turret is constantly poking you down. This would be a Molten Core. This should be the cart getting over the line here. For the London Spitfires, their offense has been quite good. You know, an opportunity to finish the map. Both checkpoints, 3 minutes on the clock.
Blaze's clowning on the Torp right now as well. Looking very, very good and dealing with Sparkle every time he turns up. So here's the answer. Fearless switches to Orisa. Now, playing around this corner, she doesn't feel as good because you don't have as much time to work on Reinhardt's shield. Maybe if you play it yeah, okay, so you play here. This is going to allow you to pressure that Reinhardt. You don't play on the corner. He'll just run up and charge you. It is interesting, though, that this is the change. Sparkle on the Torbjorn, by the way. How much do we know about this pick?
Throw down the turret.
How many minutes on record does this guy
pop
have?
overload and hit red. Hit alternate fire when they get close. So you may have a little bit, so I mean you're going to have an advantage for the Dallas Fuel with like the Discord, the Torb damage at range, and then the Hangzhou. It's just they can't let Shax cause any trouble behind enemy lines. This is a Dragon with a self-destruct.
Yeah, I mean they
just
kind of
clears everybody out of the M Matrix, yeah.
I guess they do the same thing. They clear people out of the way, but there's no ability to force people into the Dragon's path. So it's very pretty, but that's about it. Doesn't do much at all.
Cool.
Yeah, that's great. We love our particle effect spaghetti noodle soup. Shax goes down there. That's pretty important. So it's just a headshot from Doha from that off angle there on the left-hand side. And it definitely takes the wind out of the Spitfire's sails a little bit here. It's not a fight ender, but it's pretty close now as they back up and try and crowd around Hardy. Rally going to be used here by Kellex, but it's a Transcendence for the Fuel. So both supportive ults used. The Spitfire have to rally just to kind of get out alive and not stack it.
Yes. No, they don't have another big support ult, right? Where at Dallas Fuel, they have the Transcendence. They also have Rally. That's all you have for the London Spitfire. So Rally's still on the table here for the Dallas Fuels. And Matrix, they can just kind of kite that damage. So, 2 minutes already off the clock here.
No good, that one.
Toa almost got killed, yeah.
Sparkle was well and truly out of the blast radius here. So Han been playing very deep on his own, but there's not a lot of damage against him. It creates enough space for Doha to sit back and line Ripper up. Here's your Storm Arrows. Risky for Hardy, his shield was down, and Doha found the perfect time to strike. This Hangzhou is getting value for Dallas.
So now you push up for Dallas, where I mentioned London were in a position to finish, 3 minutes on the clock, on the attack. Now it's pretty much stalled out as soon as we've seen this composition from the Dallas Fuel. Good adjustments, but London, they have the Molten Core. Blase just hanging out in the corner. Now you kind of go for some extra damage, right? Rippa goes over to the Zed, and Kellex will pick up the Matisse.
Oh, okay! The vertically challenged Miscreant gets the better of Doha though, Matt. Oh, field of those domes as he comes around the corner. Still a decent ejection of goop there. The Molten Core comes out from both Torbjorn players. Sparkle actually just wading through Blaze's. Maybe he couldn't tell the difference, unclear. Obviously, these skins are client side for the observers, so it would have been a different shade of orange if I recall. Here's your overtime now, Hardy going low. Doha picked off by Shax, who switched to the Tracer now as well. That self-destruct doesn't get any value. There's an invulnerable fielder, keeping cards stored out. Sparkles on the Doomfist. Blaze looks on with jealousy. And that might make the difference here. Now, it looks like the Spitfire are out of juice.
Well, Blaze's hiding up top. He's gonna jump on down, but yeah, no. That ends it off. It's the Doomfist swap at the end just to kill Rippa. So the cart, they may get through the first 2 checkpoints, Mitch, pretty safely. It's just there towards the end. Once they start to get matched in terms of the compositions and shield, that's when it stalls out for the London Spitfire. But still, very good offense from them.
And in some senses, you know, playing the 12 on offense there feels nice because you have a lot of space created by your front line as you push up. You know, you can put turrets more towards the periphery and play in the corner randomly like we saw Blaze doing. Defensively here, it's a little bit more predictable. You know, as Dallas approach big Earls, it's fairly clear where there might be 1 of 3 or 4 different turret locations if we see Torbjorn here, and it's harder for the Spitfire to sort of exploit some of the strengths of Torb. Ironically, he was always slated as a defensive hero, but it's not exactly how he's applied in these cases. So it's going to be Sombra Tracer here for the Spitfire, Matthew. And they do have a Zen here, so this is not the brick map setup. They have Ripper on the Zenyatta.
No, and I wonder if Dallas expects this. I think Dallas may have expected them to kind of play like a slower, you know, Orisa Rhine composition on D. So we'll see what Dallas Fuel decides to do if they continue to, you know, maybe kind of hover over what they're looking at now, which
I feel like they would know if London aren't playing up, they probably have an idea, right? Because with Orisa and Reinhardt, you can probably play forward as a defender. You probably even should. Here,
that's the only reason you would, yeah.
Yeah, this will tip the Dallas Fuel off. I think that they are playing a ball comp before they even see them playing. No, in fact, they weren't sure. Fearless did come out on Winston.
Yep, they're going to go back and look. Yep. So they'll play the... this is going to be a mirror matchup, right? And I think if you're the Dallas Fuel, you are totally okay with this.
Yep. It's like free breadsticks, you take those, Matt, and you don't look back. Blase getting bopped around on the left side.
Breadsticks.
Yeah, mine are in the mail, apparently. I'm sure they won't be stale. Shax pulling the plug there for a moment. Picked up Sparkle, and he's happy to get away. And Doha has to do the same. Translocating back here as Dallas don't find an early advantage here.
The advantage London has here with the Sombra is they control all the packs at the start, right? You know, the Mega inside of the little tunnel, underneath big Earls, you know, the packs to the side. There's all these packs are favorable for the London Spitfire. So you're really relying on the manual hacks of Doha and the players to turn the tide.
Yeah, look at Humpy just had to do 3 different things. He goes from trying to shut Shax's impact down to seeing Blaze diving him. Defense Matrix goes front and back. Great job there. Especially with low healing on this team, damage mitigation is that much more important. You don't have burst healing or high impact throughput healing. And you have to answer Shax somehow. I mean, Tracer is about burst damage. You don't have burst healing to counter it. So being able to cut off that damage is so crucial. Speaking of burst damage, there's a Pulse Bomb here in the back pocket of Sparkle. No chance to use it though here, so we have a little bit of a neutral game. Quite volatile though, as Fearless and Field to get blown up. That's the Pulse Bomb of Shax.
And that was a Discord on the Fearless. Discord on Fearless, I believe he was hacked during that as well. As things are looking good for the London Spitfire here on defense. They'll have a Transcendence if they want to play aggressive. Their Transcendence maybe even with their EMP as Blaze looks like he's scouting. Figure out where he can land a big one.
Yeah, looking for the Zenyatta now probably as well. Doha gets Ripper, so he just goes to EMP and cleans him up. Getting rid of Kelexter is huge. I mean, it looked on the kill feed like just a one-player experience, but you know that Fearless was involved there as well. Well, Blaze is busy just biding his time. Doha studying the blade and just smacking an EMP into the back line of the Spitfire.
Well, Blaze EMPs as well, but they don't get anybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was, let's be honest.
That was shades of the Toronto match where every team they used an EMP lost. So you'll be able to fight this over your London. You're going to have a Transcendence. You can have a Minefield here. Clear things out. You're going to have a rally advantage here for Dallas.
Fielder's got a nice little advantage here. Headshot on Ripper, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he and Kellex are still caught by the Minefield. They actually can't participate. Kellex is trying to clear them now. Ripper had to wait for Transcendence before he could move up. Now he can be the human Omnic Minesweeper, excuse me. Body blocking as well. That's so cheeky. Kellex gets caught there as a result. That's a big bomb, though, from Molfig. You're looking for those. Dallas plays so far forward. They're never ready for the 3K from Molfig. Jaw like an anvil, hits just as hard.
No, and now you're in a great position to get this hold. If you're the London Spitfire, huge 3K self-destruct there. They have to be careful. Doha's going to be able to farm up the rest of this charge towards an EMP.
Well, this, if you're a Dallas Fuel fan talking about ending the season strong, this is not the kind of look that you're hoping for. London are handling them pretty happily on this kind of composition. Now, we'll come back to that later, perhaps. 10 seconds remain now. No blood drawn here by either team. You see Fearless is looking, though. Swat Shack's on the way through, but it's the backline that he really wants a bit of. It's an EMP that connects on the Reaper, but they don't have the follow-up there. Doha blown up instantly. Great response here for the London Spitfire. Hardy gets rid of him straight away, and it's an EMP. Blase is calling it frantically. He's going to let it go now, and it connects on a Fielder. Can he finish the job? Yes! That's a Zenyatta out of the picture now, and the Dallas Fuel look pretty good on defense here, but the London Spitfire, they match them here. And their defense with Wrecking Ball is just superior. Well played. And now it's going to be Doha to try and keep things alive. He has to translocate out, and that will be that. Atrocious from the Fuel, but subsequently nicely done by the Spitfire. Solid defense here to get the full hold.
Yeah, with an interesting composition on offense. London then goes back to, you know, the Sombra Tracer with the Wrecking Ball on D, and they look phenomenal. Dallas looked really poor there, but I think London definitely shined on that defense.
Good looks here for the London Spitfire. We talked about them staying composed. This time they finish as well as they start on Route 66, and that's what you're looking for now in the whole scope of the series. Map number 3 here as the series is tied. It's just around the corner. I recommend you stick around and see how it ends. That's right, it's the Countdown Cup, which means that this is potentially your last chance, really, to play for the opportunity to win $500 and a Hangzhou statue for first place in our pick'ems. Oh, man, last tournament cycle of the year, that's mental. I bet your brackets have boomed, though, if you've been participating so far. It's really going to be a matter of whose Preds are less destroyed by the end of it, but hopefully we're all participating. We've had over 2 million pick'em results submitted, so thanks all for participating and keep it up. Pick'em.overwatchleague.com. I don't know how many pick'ems had Spitfire even winning a map in this series, but good looks from them, Matthew, as Dallas look pretty lackluster on Route 66.
Yeah, and it's London looked good for that map yesterday against Toronto, and then it had moments, but I want to see them build on this. Like, you have that good map. You clearly have found something that you feel like works against this Dallas Fuel lineup, which it definitely does there. I mean, you kind of wrecked them on Route 66. Can you bring some of that into Volskaya here to try and take a 2-1 lead?
Again, Volskaya Industries is that's a tough one. I mean, we know that Dallas have had some pretty good results on this particular map. It was one of their absolute best. They're undefeated ones until who was it? The Chengdu Hunters beat them on it. I feel like the Summer Showdown playoffs. So outside of that, pretty good beats for Dallas to get to choose this map, to get to play this one. We've seen so many different looks from them here. I mean, there's opportunity to play defensive fire if you want to get a bit spicy, but that Sombra Tracer look can also apply. I've got to say, Route 66, it seemed as if Dallas struggled on the attacking side to get any success with their engagements, whether that's a result of Fearless being unable to really stick to his target, or Sparkle being unable to follow up. It just didn't click for this team. See, London will definitely be staying the same composition. Why change it after you had so much success on the previous map?
Well, I think the argument to change it would be for something like what Dallas is running. There is not, there's opportunity to run Wrecking Ball here on the first point. The second point, it'd be quite tough to run the Wrecking Ball, so potentially you have to change there for the London Spitfire. Whether you want the Winston, maybe you want to play a Reinhardt towards that second stage of the map, where Dallas could play this Winston throughout the entire map if they so choose to. Also gives them some pretty nice win conditions with grab, nano, EMP, a lot of ult combinations, and even Soa ults for them to be able to win.
Double bubble. Okay. Well, we know that Dallas looked really good on this composition. Scary stuff. Also, San Francisco, as an off-topic, also looked great on this setup. Right, well, not a great start for Doha. No Shaq's able to deal with him early, and he'll be looking for more. You best believe that. Has to recall there, though. Takes a faceful. I think Dallas might just, the Fuel might just have to wait here for Doha.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're not gonna press in without Doha's. Shax on the last map really started to come alive on the Tracer. Being able to take these 1v1s against Doha or Sparkle. They have to keep him in check if they're gonna win.
Jaxa, one of the key tools against Tracer, gets blown up by Hardy there. Sparkle playing in the back line. It was a good hack on Hardy, though, so that allows there to be a late trade, and Dallas obviously have the respawn advantage here as Jaxa can return. Shield Bash will definitely help him stay fleet of foot, and Morph is desuited. So Dallas play in the choke, get some good results here, but it's not over yet. They're missing Doha, and Sparkle definitely needs a good bomb.
They should be able to win this, though. They have a few players down for London. They're going to be coming back. It's going to be an EMP. It does not connect with Fielder, though, so you're going to get the nano off.
No connection on the poles for Shax. Okay, the whip shot is the one that sends him over the edge. Harmon is charged up here, and it's unclear just how much the Spitfire have to work with. Harmon respects the Zenyatta of Reaper, though. Takes a couple of big hits, has to use his personal bubble and back away. Very disjointed stuff here from Dallas. 2 ticks now and counting. There's a chance for the Spitfire to contest this right now. They see Doha, they catch him, they shield bash. He still gets an EMP off, though. But Dallas aren't in a position to follow up on that. They're stuck on the point trying to cap. This has gone wrong. Shaq's getting rid of Fielder now as well. Graviton Surge has to be used here by Harnden, but he doesn't have a lot of help. He does get rid of Blase, but is that all he's going to have here? Fearless just has to go.
The execution there from Dallas is just poor. I mean, it is just terrible. They try and get the EMP up on the high ground and then have Fearless jump up with like a bubble and then Primal. And Doha actually gets bashed. It's a nice play from Kellex. And then he uses like the EMP on the way down. Fearless isn't able to track down Rippa in time, and he gets the Transcendence off. And you end up using everything there for the Dallas Fuel. And only a minute 20 on the clock. You have, what, 2 ticks to show for it. You're going to have a Nano Deer onto Fearless, though, and he's going to be able to take out Kellex.
Looks like he's happy enough with Kellex without chasing Ripper down. Dallas seemed a little bit confused about whether they dive in with the EMP or they capture the point. Now that hopefully is a more simple quandary for them. London will come back in though if they can with some numbers. A Molt self-destruct is always scary, and Hanbin gets caught out. The Winston bubble actually dissipated before the self-destruct came in. A good manual hack on Shax means he cannot escape, and Spark was able to finish him off. Hardy on the Wrecking Ball is still durable. And there it is, Reaper going down. There's a pulse bomb here for Sparkle, but he's unlikely to have to use it. He might go for it anyway, but the fight's over. Dallas get the point, but again, London look very, very good at dealing, especially with Fielder. They're diving their artists so effectively, and Dallas do look disjointed.
Yeah, still pretty good defense, though, from the London Spitfire, although you do have Dallas taking that first point as you end up losing Hadi. He got hacked at the same time you ended up losing Kellex, so having those 2 players drop, the fight extends for a very long time after that, but it really starts from there, the Dallas march towards taking that point. But only 3 minutes on the clock. Not a large opportunity here for the Dallas Fuel to make a play.
EMP for 3, but Fearless was already deep in enemy territory, and Blase is taken out. Primal Rage here is tough for Molf. He's going to have to get away. But Shax is doing so much work. He's found Fielder and Hanbin. This is just a weekend for underdog Traces turning up in a big way. Looking great so far. He's going to have to do more, though, and that looks pretty good. Blase combines to take Jexa down. Shax has yet another pulse bomb. He's hard-earned on that Tracer ultimate. He doesn't need it to get rid of Fearless at this point, though, and the Spitfire hold again. Not even a tick this time.
Right, I was going to say, not even a tick. They hold on to Transcendence. You still have this pulse bomb. You're going to end up with rallies, so setting yourselves up in a good spot here. What you're going to have happen. Oh, so Rippa takes out Doha from a distance. I was going to say, if you end up using this grab for the Dallas Fuel, you're going to need the Transcendence to just kind of get through it with all the damage that can come down from Fearless, just kind of cleaving onto it, probably with a Nano. But you get a few kills here for London, and you're buying yourself even more time.
Again, always the risk of Shax just plucking out Fielder from the mix. Dallas have had a lot of problems keeping him alive. Sparkle now, I mean, it seems a bit more of a respectful approach at the very least. Needs to match up with Fearless here. This dive has not looked nearly as healthy from Dallas. Maybe they're rusty on the double bubble look. Maybe this was something they didn't intend or expect to have to pull out. That pulse doesn't find its mark. Shax has the recall there as he does get spotted for the high ground. You see Hanbin's charge particle laser bearing down on him. Spitfire in no hurry to go too aggressive here, but Hanbin goes down. Shax another one. He's dominating. Oh, that's a nasty hack though. Hardy couldn't do anything about it. And it may not be enough though. That might just be a footnote here on another failed teamfight engage for the Fuel.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it where Shax is just dominating right now. He's able to get a kill basically almost every time with these pulse bombs, get into the back line, make it very difficult as London is doing a better job now protecting Kellex and Rippa. They set themselves up to potentially get a hold there. That's actually the sleep that comes out and hits Blase in the air, but he gets EMP off.
Yeah, great look, early EMP. Hanbin couldn't get away. The minefield was there to follow up. And that's all the Spitfire really need. They've got to know that there's a Graviton Surge in the works here. Dallas need Hanbin I guess just to get the Spitfire under their thumb here. There's 30 seconds left. London are playing this perfectly right now.
No, there's no fear from Shax taking these like Tracer 1v1s and then even going in, trying to make a play for Fielder is Hadi will get slept behind enemy lines. It's going to be a big bomb from Mole potentially.
Dodged away from, but Dallas is split. Fearless has gone very deep and still able to pluck the Zenyatta out of the mix. EMP connects and Fearless gets rid of Shax there. He was right in the eye of the storm and could not blink away. Well, this is a good way to work out some frustration, I think, for Fearless. There's no way Kellex could have done anything about that. And we're 2 ticks and counting now on the attack for Dallas. Over the top, Reaper's there. Hanbin still has that Graviton Surge to use. It won't be needed, apparently. No, Dallas get the job done here in overtime. God, it doesn't look pretty. The Spitfire are making it so hard for Dallas to get an inch
No, it is not pretty for Dallas, and I almost want to say that it's really just London not having any ults or saving anything for the end there for that final fight that really ended up hurting them and allowing Dallas to take the point. The Dallas having that EMP, they have the grab, they don't even end up using it. I believe a Primal Rage goes off during that as well. You had absolutely nothing there for the London Spitfire. Just that self-destruct from Molfig, and it's actually, it lands in a pretty nice spot in the doorway. It's just everybody makes it out the opposite side for the Dallas Fuel.
I tell you what, the Xayah looked hard for Dallas to really get Harbin in positions to succeed. The lack of mobility of their composition feels like it had them locked into scenarios of the Spitfire's design, right? Blase gets to go forward, preemptively go for an EMP. Shax just seemed uncontested for the most part. Fearless too busy in the enemy backline trying to make things happen to really lend any aid, and Harbin couldn't peel on Xayah nearly as effectively as he can on that D.Va. Didn't feel like the best look for Dallas here, and they'll make some changes now on defense. Harbin's on the D.Va. This is his final moment, so Fearless gets in, and there's plenty of help there from Doha just softening Ripper up, but that's what you need to see. It took Dallas just too long to make this happen.
I mean, yeah, it did take them too long, but I feel like it was just because London was so good.
Yeah.
Playing very aggressive, right in their face, not playing scared. That we talked about, like how Shax has been able to make an impact. I think like they're doing a good job, Dallas, kind of being able to sleep and hack Hottie and being able to finish him off. But when it comes to really putting pressure onto Shax, it's not been there.
Look, not only is it impressive what London are causing to Dallas, but this has also been historically a very good map for the Fuel. They've been confident and well drilled on how to play this. London's approach, though, has set them off kilter in a big way. And look at this patience here. Shax goes for a little peek, sees Doha's low, Discord Orb was also applied to him. Okay, recall, didn't work out, we've got time to play with here, we'll try again.
But they lose Hottie. I mean, I kind of mentioned it before, and you lost him. That was really a big thing in the Toronto series, right? You were losing him pretty consistently.
Yes.
First, you lose him now here, kick things off. They're trying to set a play up where the rest of the London Spitfire put some pressure in on the left, and then Hottie and you had Blase going for the Zen Brig on the other side, forcing the Dallas Fuel to split up, which they kind of got that action and they got a pick, but they ended up losing Hottie, which is tough.
Oh, Molfig's been desuited for the last 30 seconds or so, and doesn't look like he's going to be back in mech in a hurry. This slows down the Spitfire in a big way. Field is able to build up their transcendence here. Hardy's the only element of this Spitfire lineup that can dive as far as tanks are concerned, and Dallas look pretty comfortable right now. To be fair, Reaper's kept pace in terms of his transcendence here, and Shax is doing a very good job of like third-partying or just coming late to, to remove softened up targets. Perfect employment of Tracer's kit. And here comes the cap beginning now.
They get a tick. Looks like you just have Shax here with Hottie.
Why not?
That'll be one.
Sparkle's low constantly. Constantly like half HP. Whoa! Ah, man. I hate it. I just hate it. Doha just goes for an EMP, gets blown up again. Shax doesn't seem bothered at all there, and there was a transcendence in play for Ripper. He was hiding away from the EMP. It's not good enough for the Dallas Fuel. The Spitfire they really make them suffer for that mistake.
I mean, that was it's just terrible, right? The EMP's kind of used in a rushed fashion. You don't have any follow-up, and London's not even really forced to use anything. I mean, that's like almost the worst case.
The transcendence, that's it.
4 minutes on the clock, yeah, but they come back now, rally, EMP, you have so many things to be able to take this point.
London looking in good shape now. They can finish the map with some time to spare. Dallas look boomed. They look absolutely boomed. And now it's confidence oozing off Shax in waves as he moves up to the point. Oh, I love that little bit of tech. He got himself up into the high ground, and yeah, Fielder gets blown up. Hardy does go down in all fairness. Harbin trying to peel here for Fearless. He's hit with a Discord Orb. He's very, very low. 2 ticks already and counting for the London Spitfire. They're looking better right now. Sparkle recalls out, gets rid of Kellex. Maybe buys a little bit of time here for the rest of the Fuel. But Molfig gets another big self-destruct kill on the Tracer. Messy positioning. It's going to cost the Fuel in a big way. D-suit there. Molfig also D-suited, but Doha taken down. Shax goes back for the Mega. All of this map control in the hands of the Spitfire now. And so there's no real rush Fearless is extremely low, and again, Sparkle just blows up. He just disintegrates. He's unaware that there can be more than one person shooting at him at any given time. Perfect pulse bomb from Shax. It's the Tracer show right now, and I'm not talking about Dallas's. Hardy falls yet again, and the reinforcements were able to come back in just in time. Dallas hang on by a fingernail.
It's the kill that Fearless gets onto Rippa that decides it, and is able to flip the point back in Dallas's favor where they get a hold. If he actually just kind of was able to get past the point, they had, I believe, Jexay hold serve on the point for just a little bit, and Fearless was able to run through, take out Rippa, and that really turned the tide. You didn't have the break. Kellex died a little bit earlier, so you lose your source of healing. You had a Transcendence if you needed there for Fielder. It really got scary, but that's when that fight was decided.
Much harder to blow Ripper up now. He has the Transcendence. And an EMP here could be big.
See you later.
Blase though doesn't opt to use it there. Good composure. Here's a Transcendence from Ripper now. Self-destruct goes in, and Doha, well, he inexplicably dead. Now it's an EMP. Perfect setup here. Blase lets it go. Catches Jexa, Harbin, and Fearless. Fielder's able to get away with the very least here. The front line for the Fuel is looking pretty durable. This rally now comes out for London. They need to maintain their composure. They're so close here. Fearless taken down. That rally helps a lot. Shax again able just to run riot here. Sparkle getting Ripper is pretty big though. Again, losing that Zenyatta was a death knell for London in the previous fight, but they're so much further ahead this time. They are the better team today.
They have a chance to win this map. A minute 48 on the clock. Decent amount of time as we go into OT. And I think it's just, you know, Dallas. I think London has really upped their game since map number 1. They look much more coordinated with this type of dive. Shax looks really on point. And Dallas, I mean, since we've seen them switch off for the far, they look kind of clueless, right? I mean, we've seen really just bad teamwork, you know, poor decision-making at times, where maybe they thought they were going to come in here and just kind of roll over this team, but that is not the case.
Not at all. And we're talking a lot about the Tracer, but these EMPs from Blase have looked really good in this round. They've been well followed up on. Reaper just flies under the radar. It's crazy how many great Finnish flex supports, or supports in general, we've had in the league that tend to just go a little bit unnoticed, again, because they're not flashy. They're role players. They tend to be, at least. Reaper was perfect there. That EMP that came out from Doha on point A that looked like it could have been an issue. I mean, he kind of forced it, but Reaper just transcends, just moves up. Cool, calm, collected, composed. London now need one tick to go ahead in this series and to put Dallas Fuel on the wrong end of a match point scenario. They've got a minute and 45 seconds to make it happen. Dallas desperately trying to bring about a draw.
So, probably motivated by the Vancouver Titans performance yesterday. London like, why not us? After the Titans end up getting their first win of the season. Now, what a first win it could be, potentially, if you're able to beat the Dallas Fuel. So,
that is...
the thing you're worried about here for London is this takes too long to materialize and we end up with a draw. That would be your worry here if you're the London Spitfire.
And it'd be frustrating for them, I'm sure. Taxing on their composure. Okay, Doha hacked Hardy instantly. Okay, good response there from the Fuel. Discord Orb applied, Hack was there. The Spitfire might have to take a back seat for a second.
60 seconds.
I mean, it's kind of been happening to Hardy all map. They've just had some great performances around it that have masked it, but they're getting hacked, discorded really early. So, Blase just playing a little. He was trying to farm up. You know, he had Fearless and you had Sparkle over on that side. You lose Hardy again. Yep. So, you know, we started at a minute 48, down to 35 seconds on the clock. And you basically only had 2 people make it through the choke here for London.
They're close, London, but they still need to stick to landing. Molfig takes a bunch of damage earlier. Blase playing aggressively because he knows he needs to farm that EMP early, but his death puts Doha ahead by double now. Shax is forced away. Hanbin chasing him down. Get off my lawn, he says. We're into the last 10 seconds. Oh, not again! Yep, Hardy, hacked, discorded, dead. Spitfire have to make it work with 5 players now. Shax moves up to the point. He's going to have a pulse bomb available. A big one here could tip the scales. And Reaper's going to be waiting for a chance to use this Transcendence. Doha would like to shut that opportunity down. All right, EMP, it catches Reaper. No chance to use the Transcendence at all. Finally an EMP from Doha that makes the difference. Shax is able to find a pulse bomb kill on Jexa, but it's just too little too late here. Even Blaze's impact on Fielder, it would have been good about a minute ago, but now it doesn't account to much at all. The fuel hold on, they secure the draw on Volskaya.
This is good play from London in the, first kind of half of the game, right, on their offense and defense. But there in OT, you kind of see how they end up, with a draw here. Is that is a brutal one. I mean, Shax was playing phenomenal on the Tracer. You can only lose, so many people first and win these fights. It's going to be tough to win like that through the rest of the series.
Yep, Dallas sat up in their seats there and they really handled Hardy quite impressively. All right, well, that's an interesting situation now. It means we're 1-1 after 3 maps. We'll come back with Hybrid after these messages. Frustration, of course, for the London Spitfire as they were just denied the opportunity to be ahead in maps in this series and have a match point scenario against the Dallas Fuel. But in fairness, it was their composure that had to hold up. Dallas came alive. They looked good. They looked like they really understood their win conditions very well on defense in that Volskaya overtime. It's a draw, Matt, as we head now to Highbridge. Did they look good? Well, comparatively, yes. They looked, in fact, they looked bloody incredible compared to how they looked in the previous round.
I was going to say, like, had he rolled into them twice, got hacked, discorded, killed.
Yep.
And then they EMP'd at the end, and Rippa, in a tough spot, was not able to get the Transcendence off.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm pretty sure that
they survived.
Hitting an EMP was something that was just not coming easily to the Fuel there. Like, they was just slamming Q whenever someone shield bashed him in midair. It seemed like Dallas weren't ready to sort of respond to that stuff. Look, it was just... I'd rather give the Spitfire credit than to be annoyed at Dallas, but I mean, it was they looked tired. They looked tired in that round.
Well, I think the Spitfire, you were playing so well. We can take a look at the Sombra head-to-head in this match. I know Blase kind of leading in that final blows, not in the EMPs, taking a little bit longer to get those EMPs. Where London, I feel like, they may have ran out of gas that map. They were playing so well. Shaq's looking great on the Tracer. I think even, Rippa, we were just kind of talking about it. He didn't get the Transcendence off, but he's been good on the Zen. Molfig has had some moments in the first map, right? In the second. Yeah, it's just tough to lose games like that. Especially when you're searching for that first win, you play that well, and you get in a position that's winnable, and you just kind of you beef it a little bit. I think it's brutal to have to go through that. I know every week, right? This isn't something that is just kind of tied to this match. They're in scenarios like this weekly where they're just not able to come out on the right side of it.
Without reaching too much, though, I don't think that draw feels anything remotely resembling a win for Dallas, despite the fact that they were behind and didn't have a chance to make that attack. I think, there's definitely a lot on their minds right now, Matthew, I'll be honest with you. They've had such a difficult Countdown Cup, right? First loss to Dallas. You have to go up against San Francisco. You have to go almost all the way in that series to end up winning that one here. Come up against London. Maybe you're underprepared for what this team is going to throw at you. Maybe you just don't have enough info. You don't know what London are going to go for, considering we don't really saw them yesterday. So you don't have a lot of data on them. Maybe they're not even in your scrim bracket. You know what I mean? Maybe you just don't scrim against teams that are 0-13 in the league. So it's probably pretty hard for Dallas to get an early read on what London provide.
I also think Dallas has a different objective, right? I know London just trying to, have a good Countdown Cup, a nice send-off to the end of their season, where Dallas is trying to build towards the playoffs, try and build towards finals. Maybe they have to feel like they have to run some of these compositions and get better at them and need the real game time play to do that. Fielder, we talked about, didn't really play a ton of Zen. They were playing Repel. Now we're seeing Fielder play the Zen. Maybe they want to get him some more play time on this, but I still feel like, they should be able, even a Dallas at not full strength should probably be able to deal with London, which is so far, right? We're still at 1-1, but it feels like the London Spitfire over the course of the first 3 maps have had the advantage.
They absolutely have. King's Row is the pick here. And we'll see the Sombra Tracer comp again for the Fuel. They are adamant they want to figure this composition out. So Shax just keeps getting to doing Shax things. It was so deadly, so frightening on their Volskaya map. Sparkler's really taking his time getting around the backside. He gets rid of the translocator here, but Blase was waiting for him.
And that's a great, and may not even have been intentional, but you're able to get rid of the Tracer, large sorts of damage. You lose Blase, so don't have the hack, but here's the advantage for London. You'd still have your Tracer, and Shax's been phenomenal throughout the series, so he can still contest points, still put down some damage.
Shax only had eyes for Doha there. The defense matrix made it hard for him to get damage on anyone else anyway. I mean, Dallas is doing very well at healing. A lot of these lost damage trades early on in the round, you saw Fearless had to run off and probably get a mega health pack, to be honest. This comp really requires you to have health packs within close reach and have them hacked if possible. Shax in the backside. Pulse bomb lobbed. No connection there, but the EMP was a little better. Reaper wasn't hit by it. And they've lost Fearless here. The EMPs don't look great, but the follow-up Much better here for Dallas.
Well, it's also just the speed in which Doha is getting the EMPs. We saw it on the graphic that we just showed.
It's like 20
It's
seconds
about,
faster.
Yeah, almost. It's even, I think, closer to probably 30 seconds in terms of like their EMP charge time. The difference in speed in favor of Doha. So you could have seen it there, right? No opportunity to counter with an EMP there for the London Spitfire. They had the Transcendence available, just not able to build up that EMP fast enough.
Spy checking his multi right now, just to make sure the Doha doesn't get too easily embedded. He was almost revealed there. Even if it feels silly shooting at nothing, especially if you're D.Va, there's no downside to it. Blaze's here with the EMP. Ripper is hacked manually though as well, and okay, not a great look for London there. I don't know what Blaze was hoping for. Who was he trying to connect on?
I don't know. I mean, it feels like now that London, they need to double down in this fight, right? You need to be able to win this in some part now. You've invested so many ultimates. The self-destruct that goes in the sky. You're going to wait now for Fearless to come back, give you the Dallas fuel, but you're going to be able to re-engage with another EMP.
Yeah, in fact, you might actually have to give up ground if you're London, and they do.
Yeah.
They'll look to regain it as quickly as possible, of course, but not a great look for them in that last fight. I mean, Chax is being tracked by Sparkle, by the way. He's actually got Sparkle chasing after him. He's still getting all of this done. Field of dice to the pulse bomb there. God bless me if he gets more.
The payload's still moving. So
God,
even with that fight win, you're able to get some payload progress here if you're the Dallas Fuel. Sparkle, way behind enemy lines. He'll be able to collapse in this next fight. If you're Dallas, you got payload progress and they use some ultimates and you already had a decent amount of time. So not the worst thing to happen there if you're the Dallas Fuel. They can come back, like I mentioned, EMP with the Transcendence. You'll have Sparkle coming from the backside, collapsing on the supports in a good spot to potentially take the second checkpoint.
Doha hasn't got himself in the backline. I think he got revealed by Hardy rolling onto him. Or through him, as it was the case. Sparkle struggling here, is getting pressured so hard. Doha has to try and play defensively here.
Hey, I might need
Try and prevent his Tracer from just getting destroyed. And it still can't stop Shax. Shax is absolutely bodying Sparkle.
In those 1v1s, he's crushing. So that's going to be the EMP that comes out from Doha, and the follow-up is going to be both supports dead instantly. Good protection for Fielder and Jexay from Hanbin. As you don't have to invest maybe on both of these, as you're just going to use the rally here towards the end. You probably didn't even need it.
Yeah, that EMP to saving grace for the Fuel. So, just under 3 minutes 40 on the clock here as they head towards the end of the map on Kings Row. And again, if Dallas's win timings are all based around EMP, that's actually acceptable. It's only like 90 seconds per EMP for Doha. Yeah. He might build this one even quicker at this rate. Already up to 70%.
Yeah, I mean, this would be Doha's third EMP to Blaze's second. I mean, that a lot of times is the difference when you play these Sombra comps, is who can get that EMP faster. Is that self-destruct, I think, actually forces Ripper to use Transcendence, so they're going to get no value out of this.
Blaze had to translocate out because I think he was worried about dying to a remake kill there, as Hanbin just clambered back in. So he's not in the fight right now. This is a 6v5 until Blaze gets back. The imp, what is that?
I don't think he got anything with it. We'd have to check. I don't know. I don't think he connected with anybody with that EMP.
Oh, man. That is... All right. Well, Dallas here. 2 on the card if they push up. I think Blaze might still be behind them here. Hardy taking an absolute beating here, but the adaptive shield is going to keep him durable. Malta get no choice. He was caught in the middle of the minefield there. So he's desuited, dispatched. Hardy's still low, hacked manually, and there he's finished off. Fearless eventually goes down, but you definitely have to feel like he's done his job here. Sparkle has the space he needs to work, and Dallas finished with 2:14 on the clock.
And Doha's Sombra looked much better on this map. And I think you can really see the difference in terms of EMP effectiveness and then also the charge time. Being able to get the extra EMPs, but then also being able to obviously make sure they're good ones. Really kind of separated the two teams here in Kings Row.
Yeah, we were really critical about Doha on Volskaya. He got a lot of EMPs forced. It looked like he just sort of squeezed them out in moments rather, where like Fearless wasn't really in position to capitalize. Blaze his last 2 EMPs, or his only 2 EMPs, he got 1 person, I think. I could be mistaken there, but generally speaking, really low impact Sombra play from him. Unfortunately, it is the Shaq show right now for London, and it's just a really tough round, one that Blase would rather soon forget.
with how effective EMP is, though, like, your Tracer could really pop off. It doesn't really matter. Let's see how this was used. Maybe does he get knocked back, maybe?
Oh, okay. The Transcendence is there in timing. Nicely done by Fielder. Knew what was coming.
But the Transcendence doesn't block everybody else from getting...
No, it doesn't. He just tried to get the Zen. He tried to go just for the Zen.
No, I actually think he was too high.
Was
he too high? Yeah, I actually think he may have just been like so high.
Yeah, even if there was no Transcendence, it might not have hit Fielder. It's a mistake, but they happen. We move on.
You must have watched the new Space Jam, where, you know, you see this new Space Jam?
No, man.
I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, I was going to say, you can spoil it to me or all the people watching that haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for everybody.
Okay. All right, so Matt and the 3 people that have seen the new Space Jam can share that inside joke. Fielder from the high ground here, and yeah, Hardy, well, that's a Sombra hack. He tries to go for Doha, apparently. Doha doing really well this map.
Yeah, after, like we mentioned, did not look very good on Volskaya. Really odd EMPs, a lot of, like, beefed plays in terms of setup. And now Dallas, and maybe Volskaya was a bit of a wake-up call for Dallas. That this was not just going to be a series where they're just going to kind of roll through, where they really needed to kind of bring their A game.
Yeah, and we talked about composure. London seemed to be short on it after failing to win Volskaya. Hardy's caught, not hacked at the very least, but his adaptive shielding's gone and he stands and fights there. I think there's a Wrecking Ball and a Diva in his way. Molfig trying to do something about that, but Harbin has a defense matrix.
I mean, you're gonna have an EMP here for Dallas. You're only 50% of the way there. For London is really like kind of falling apart. They pressure out Blase so fast, and he uses the translocator so quick that he's not actually able to just build up any sort of charge, like meaningful charge. And then he's also not able to like put down any damage, which also kind of correlates to the charge, right? So doing a good job pressuring the enemy Sombra, preventing him from really making an impact.
Sparkle quietly, definitely been looking a little bit better here. Blase was looking for something there with Fearless. I'm not sure what it was. Shax also got caught out in the sandwich between both main tanks. So London are looking, they're trying to create opportunities here with the space they've got to work with, but Hardy isn't able to create much more. They just had to dive deep and go 2v4, it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, they just kind of, they rolled on in by where like the Mega Health Pack is, and they were essentially fighting a 3v4, 3v5. No, you're not going to put the supports in that type of position as EMP on the decks here for Doha, trying to set it up.
Hardy. Okay, well, Fearless is there. Yep, Fearless is hit with the EMP, and guess what? There's a bloody Transcendence in play. Dallas are chilling, Matt. Doha's EMP, hoping for a better one. I like that. Yeah, the Transcendence is forced there. Reaper wants to go for it. So you think the Spitfire absolutely going to go in now. They have to commit. Hardy gets Fearless, trades out. There's a minefield on the point there from Fearless, if I'm not mistaken, so Molfig can't really cap. He's sitting in the back corner, so he can. And Fielder just rips one on Shax. There's still an EMP, by the way, in the works for Doha. He's hacked right now, though, and doesn't have a chance to use it. Good work by Blase. Manual hack to secure the Sombra kill, but it's going to take more than that.
The Sparkle gets both supports. You had a rally available for Kellex that he doesn't use. And you know what the Dallas Duel are probably playing there for, Mitch, was Jexay was building up his rally and then going to drop down and contest. And guess what? London doesn't even get a tick out of all of that.
Yep.
And you still have this EMP here for Dallas that they've been so patiently holding on to.
They have no space. They have no space. There's a minefield on the point. Hardy's dead, and Molfig is capping. So there's no tank to create that space for you at all. Frankly, awful. Reaper caught with the EMP here. The follow-up's there. Sparkle helps Doha out, removing the Zen from the equation. Blase's been able to build another EMP pretty quickly, in fairness. But there's 10 seconds left in the round. Blase needs more teammates to make this one work. Yeah, Hardy's down once more, and wow. Definitely night and day look for the London Spitfire. They're on the wrong side of that comparison, Matthew. Look how far forward Fielder can play. He knows he can just duel a little bit with Ripper as he tries to move through the choke. Shax has gone down, been quiet in the last 2 minutes as well. And it's an overwhelming victory on Kings Row for the Dallas Fuel.
A dominant victory there on Kings Row. I really think you felt the difference of the Sombra play there, which honestly ends up negating how good Shax has been throughout this series on the Tracer. Not as high of an impact in this one. I think Sparkle really picked up his game, but with how good that Shax has been playing, you would think that this would be a little bit closer of a match, but the Sombras was a big difference.
Absolutely. We made that comparison at the start. Doha was ahead in that ult charge generation before this map even began, and safe to say he extended his lead. So now map number 5 is around the corner, and we'll see if the Spitfire can hang on and force a map number 6 here with the draw in the series. Stick around. Control is up next. Well, the London Spitfire picked an interesting time to have their engines stall out and go into a bit of a tailspin. Kings Row looked anything but good for them, which is kind of shocking considering how incredible London looked over most of the series in the lead-up, especially on Volskaya. Dallas were able to claw our map back, and now we head to Busan. London have to fight for a map 6 now.
Yes, obviously an opportunity for London to be able to force that. They have to bounce back from how, I think the brutal way that Volskaya ended is pretty tough for London. And then obviously how King's Row just went for London is pretty tough, where they have to bounce back pretty quick here on Busan. Because you remember, if we get to Escort again, right, that's where London looked great, where maybe they're able to pull this series out.
It's all on the table here. We saw, a decent start for London. They struggled when Farah got involved on control in Nepal. Now, Mecha Base, it's a little less likely you see that pick here, so London might get the sort of Tracer Sombra mirror that they're hoping for. This may not have an option. And again, a lot rides on Blase here. You really notice it when he has a quiet map, Matthew.
Yes, I mean, right there on the Sombra, it was not good. Where you kind of get the better play out of Blase, which we've seen throughout the year. At times you can be able to win this if you're London. I think the other thing, though, is keeping Audi alive. He's obviously getting punished pretty hard by the Dallas Fuel, whether it's like the hacks, the discords, the bashes. But still, he's got to be able to use the wrecking ball movement, stay alive, know when he needs to leave, avoid some of that.
Well, is there an agreement between these two teams on the best comp for this map, apparently? Soldier v Soldier, and the Tracers are in the mix here, so the Sombra factor is not really going to be an element here. Shax there takes a big hit, I think, in his duel with Sparkle. He has to recall, and Hardy, well, he gets Fielder, knocks him off the map, but he's hit with the Discord Orb immediately.
Yeah, so he gets one, and I know the kill on the Fielder's pretty big. That's a lot of damage with the Discords out of the way. You're going to have a D-Mech here, though, as Hanbin's going to lose his mech, as maybe that kill onto Fielder is enough, right? You keep Rippa alive, the extra damage from the Discord is enough to push your team over the top.
Yeah, Hanbin gave up his mech to try and keep Sparkle alive there, who took an ill-fated dive into a biotic field that Blase was standing in, just getting healed up as he went. Good start for London here, up to 10% already. The Genji switch for Doha.
Genji's very good against like the 76, even like a McCree, right? The dashes come straight in, lots of damage. Pulse bomb there dropped by Spark. I thought he was going to maybe get one as it was in between everybody, but there'll be another fight when it looks like for the London Spitfire.
Yep, Shax there got stunned, but there was no ability for Jexa to sort of punish that any further. Sure, Kelix is down, but Shax will just push up here a bit more aggressively. He's forced back by Fielder. Fielder getting some close-range orb shots. Oh, okay! Doha gets two. Somehow this turns around. Doha gets the resets. Unreal!
And that is one where London was up like 2 players. Fielder was so low. Doha comes back off the spawn. Yeah, Doha comes back off the spawn, gets 3 with the resets on the Genji. And London, they'll switch off of the 76 and go to the Sombra. So back on the Sombra kick as we can take a look from Doha's POV how this all went down.
I mean, dash.
Yeah. Oh,
Just shurikens. Impressive stuff. Late arrival to the fight yields results for Doha. Fearless, however, is mined. Sparkle gets an off angle here, and that's a Transcendence out, so Sparkle would love a recall. Doesn't have it available, though. Yeah, interesting. He dives in there into a Transcendence without his recall up. I don't know what happened there. Doha's Blade should prolong this a little bit, but Shax leaves a Pulse Bomb on the ground as a treat for Genji. He eats it up happily.
Yeah, Doha's Blade gets Rippa, but it's definitely not enough. How long can you keep this going, though? If you're Dallas, you have Hanbin on the point. Do you send Sparkle in? As he's pretty close. Yep, here goes Sparkle. He'll come in, contest the point. So even with a losing fight, you still get more percentage here. So 63% for the Dallas Fuel. Doha now over to the Sombra, and then Blase back to the 76. So just a little bit of a game between these two of who plays what, right? Doha brings out the Genji, Blase then goes Sombra. Now we have Doha bring out the Sombra, Blase goes back to 76.
You've got to feel that Blase read that switch from Doha after the Blade didn't get much. So Sombra though, maybe not expecting that, maybe thought he'd go back to Soldier. Either way, that pick hasn't really been a decider in this fight. Shax has been able to blow up the back line and off to the point go to Spitfire.
So he was almost close to a back cap there, but I mean, Shax's just continuing the sick Tracer play throughout this series. That time able to get 2, and one thing when Fearless is going in, that's when they're going in with Hottie, and they're able to just kind of push through with Hottie and Shax, and just trying to way better results.
Sparkle needs to get Ripper out of the equation here, or at least Kellex. Somebody, anybody! Hacks with a pulse bomb here. Okay, Ripper eventually does get taken down in fairness, so it's the rally will get popped in here, but in a moment here by the Spitfire, it does. Molt goes for the self-destruct here. It just gets in the mech back, and that's probably fine. Blaze's looking good on the Soldier now. Doesn't have to deal with the Genji. Looks very comfortable. And Shax finishes the job. Gets Fielder out of the equation now. Fearless tries to back away, but the mines he leaves on the point, there's no incentive for London to fight around them anyway. First round goes to the Spitfire. They want that Mat 6, Matthew.
Yeah, good adjustments by Blaze, able to swap to the correct heroes to counter Doha, and I thought that they were much better in terms of planning their aggression around Hottie with the Tracer, where Hottie wasn't just kind of going in, then expecting the follow-up, waiting for Dallas, being a little bit more patient, then pushing on through.
Interesting little interplay here between Doha and Blaze. Switching to the Sombra when it's a little late in the round. There's no guarantee that you can build that EMP. There's no guarantee that you can even really be effective when it comes to the manual hacks, because Hardy wasn't the issue. Definitely wasn't the focus for Dallas there. All eyes away from Shax. He snuck in and got the job done. We're going to have Sombra Trace here for the fuel. London are sticking with the Soldier 76. A win here takes us to a decider.
And when Dallas is pushing through, trying to challenge the Soldier, that's when Hottie is going in with Shax, and they're finding really nice openings. As you see Shax there, take out Fielder, you have Hottie take out Hanbin. So, if you don't see these kills come through for the Dallas Fuel fast enough, this is what's going to happen, as Shax is going to get into the back line and cause a lot of problems.
It's just so much impact from one individual in this series, right? From map to map. And look, we were on board with Fearless there, and he looked decent. I mean, he got his kills a little later than Hardy did, but the sequencing on his Wrecking Ball play seemed fine. Dallas are not going to let this one go for free. No way. Here they are up in the point now. Hardy just going to spin a little bit. He knew a hack was coming his way, I think, from Doha, so he stops. See a pulse here for Sparkle. Connection. Failed.
So you just have the contest now coming through. A pulse bomb potentially on the table for Shax. This is going to be the Dallas Fuel taking the point.
They get the point. They get an EMP connection as well. I mean, London can't really contest without their mobility, but they can just move back in and take the point now. There's no bloody follow-up on the EMP. Kellex drops there maybe first, but Reaper gets hit with that. Dallas seems to be more interested in capping than going forward.
Here's London. Really, I have a lot of respect for London being able to bounce back with how poor King's Row was, and then how they kind of fumbled Volskaya towards the end. That kind of says a lot about the makeup of the team, kind of in the face of adversity here. As Blaze, he'll have a visor, he'll be able to kind of sit back. I mean, they've been dealing with adversity the whole year. I mean, they ain't gonna win, right? But
exactly, but that resilience is not trivial. It's something that is actually quite unique to teams like them. Not everybody has it. Attack phasing here for Blaze, so I imagine he's setting up in an off angle if he can. Shax is trying to keep tabs, I think, on Sparkle as he can. Doesn't want to have to burn recall there for that damage. He gets healed up nicely, so attack visor on Fearless. Nobody knows where he's going. Straight towards Blaze here, and he did the damage to really get him low enough for the cleanup. The Transvenom's in play here for Fielder. Dallas know they need to try and retake the point now, otherwise things get a little too dicey for them. Doha knew Shax was behind him, and Fielder is going to get a quick double. That's big, but still needs to be boots on the point here for the Fuel. And they eventually move up and retake.
Yes, Shax and Hottie just kind of pull out of that fight when the Transcendence comes, because they know that the players on the opposite side of the map for London are being collapsed upon, and they just opt to not even kind of go in and make a play on that fight. So they give up the point, still in an advantage here for the London Spitfire. That's a hack on a Hottie. You gotta try and keep him up.
And they do just. But I mean, that gives, look at the space now the Fuel have, right? London have to just play in this one corner of the map here as a result of that. And Doha might try and exploit that grouping with an EMP. Who's he looking for? Unclear. He just goes a manual hack on Molth. He can't see Ripper, so he knows he's probably not a huge threat to him right now.
It's a rally use for Jexer as well.
There it is, EMP. Kellex did try and shield bash forward. Ripper's still having a Transcendence though, so Dallas don't overcommit to a fight. They know their opponents have a lot of healing, but that's beautiful. Sparkle predicts the path of Kellex. He waltzes right into the pulse. Good recovery from Dallas here in the mid-round, Matt.
Yeah, not a great EMP there from Doha, but the pulse bomb from Sparkle a few times throughout this series has been able to connect with a pulse bomb onto Kellex. As Dallas now has a big advantage, Mitch. I know they have their own minefield. They have their Transcendence here. They can get aggressive behind that if they like to in this next fight.
Shax has to kill Fielder. They need to hack Fielder before he just pops Transcendence arbitrarily. Sparkle doesn't have a recall. Man, he plays so far forward with that ability sometimes. I like this. Get aggressive. Use that Transcendence to come forward. Blase here duking it out with Fearless once more with attack visor. But yeah, he knows the look on his face is like, oh, I'm in danger. And so he is. Fearless runs him down. Dallas, they want to end the series here. They're going to even it up on Busan.
One more round on Busan to decide, do we get a map 6 today to kick things off, or the Dallas Fuel squeak away with a win? This is not a win you'd be extremely proud of if you're the Dallas Fuel. I think probably a little bit more of a wake-up call than anything. So London, at least at the beginning, looks to potentially be going back to the somber look.
If the Spitfire want to win this series, they're going to have to do it the hard way. Against the highest ranked team in the West. They're going to have to use everything they've got to get the better of the Dallas Fuel. Here is that Farah switch here. And this is where it's deadliest on a map like downtown, Matthew.
This gave them a lot of problems in map number 1. If you remember the Farah compositions, we haven't seen it since, so.
Right, Hardy giving a good account of himself on the high ground, but that wasn't even a Discord or play. You're playing Arnhem Mercy here. He still got caught out.
Oh, he just he got hit with some rockets. He had Fearless up there, and then I believe when he tried to get out with the grapple, he just kind of rolled into the wall.
Army will begin to cap. Hardy goes for a drive-by here. I think the Spitfire know how important it is not to lose control this point early. Can Molthik shut Doha down? It's a big question.
That'll be the Fuel taking the point. I think you lose Blase, so really you've had no opportunity to make anything happen if you're London, and this is pretty much what happened on Nepal when we had the Farah compositions in. If you remember, they were just kind of getting spawn trapped by the Farah. They didn't have enough defense matrix to get players into position. Very similar start here. Is, you know, Hadi's able to roll by. That's fantastic. What about the supports? Not able to get them in a position thus far.
They are stuck in that upper room. Ripper trying to rotate here through the low side, the mega room. He'll get there. Molthik can't have any defense matrix left, surely, at this point. It's got to be run out. So, I mean, yeah, no one's in position to attack the point. I mean, London are just beginning to start to attempt to play in this round. Doha plays from the high. Again, Tracer peppering from the low ground for Shax. It's another target added to his list here. Without Jexer in the mix, though, tough for Doha to get away with that barrage.
It was really good protection from Molthik on those supports. I mean, it did not look good there for a while. As they'll clean up Fearless.
Oh, the switch for Doha.
Yeah, the Dallas will make some changes, so they'll actually mirror this. But still, 57%, good start there for the Dallas Fuel. Molthik did a nice job using the defense matrix as much as he could, trying to keep them alive when it was the damage coming down from Doha to Fearless. And that's what allows a really long fight to happen on the point, which London takes.
It's the manual hack from Blase on the Mercy as well that I think makes Jexer want to switch there. EMP connects. They'll get Sparkle and, ooh, okay, it's a Cossack kick. And maybe London now starting to stabilize a little bit here, building towards that rally.
Yeah, they get 2 with their EMP. They now have the rallies, so they're going to get close to probably taking the lead in terms of percentage. If I was to kind of guess off of where we are right now and estimate off of this next fight.
Yeah, getting to equalize things here and forcing Dallas off the Farah. Must feel pretty darn good. I mean, he's dead. Sparkle seems to think he's in a 1v1 there, but there's just no way that Shax is going to allow a gentleman's duel to unfold on his turf. It's not going to happen. Now the Spitfire go to the lead. They want to force a map 6. They want to force a chance at winning the series. They're on the fast track to doing so now. Malfig goes for the self-destruct there. There's no connection. Shax, pulse stick. It's good. And Fearless eventually is taken down. That's a Discord orb application from Ripper. And now Shax waits. Tries to stagger his timing a little bit here so he won't be expected as he makes another foray into the back line. Here's that Transcendence though from Fielder. This one needs to work. Dallas have the double down and take the point. Otherwise it could be over for them here. Zenza traded out, but Doha got hacked. Not a good look now for the Fuel here. Jaxa hides in the corner and Hardy spots him immediately. Can't do much about it for the time being though when Shax is taken down. Dallas flipped the point back. London, composure. They need it now more than ever, Matthew.
And the fight is in close quarters there, which ends up benefiting the Dallas Fuel because they just have Jexay alive. With just one support alive, they have the Brig there. He's able to just keep that Inspire rolling and hold on to the point. You're going to have the Transcendence here or the London Spitfire, but you have an EMP here for the Dallas Fuel. Can Doha land a good EMP? That's what it's going to come down to.
He knows that it's too easy to shield bash him. Maybe he can get the enemy Sombra. No, that doesn't work. Blase got out alive there as well. He's going to have an EMP to come back, but this has gone wrong. Doha thought he was maybe making the right call there. Maybe thinking he couldn't get past the Brig, but I don't know if it worked out. Fielder, though, able to find a kill. Long range on Ripper. This EMP's got to be big. They need it. Oh, they're not going to Fielder. They can't get him. They turn around and blow Blase up, and that might be the chances of the Spitfire going up in smoke. It was there. It was right there, Matt. On the table for the taking. And now it's gone. It's over. The Fuel shut the Spitfire down. A bitter defeat for the still winless Spitfire.
Oh, that's a brutal one for London, and I think you see it on Shax's face. Like he played phenomenal throughout this series. It's just at the times where you need plays to be made, you just don't have you just miss them in certain spots, right? You have a solo EMP there at the end on the Fielder. He just turns around, kills you. It's a good EMP. From Doha. They actually start that fight off, by the way, by killing Fearless first. So they're starting that off with a player advantage. Doha uses the EMP, and Rippa's actually able to get his Transcendence off. Like that is like that is as good as a fight start you could have asked for the London Spitfire there. They have everybody at full strength. They're able to weather through the EMP. They already have a player up, and they still lose.
Listen, I think Dallas stay alive in this series because of a Sombra diff in a big way. Doha, not always looking 100% there, but when it really counted, especially on Kings Road, he was the one that put Dallas back in the conversation, back in the equation. So he's going to be our player of the match today. And yeah, in that last fight, he opts to try and EMP Shax instead. He identifies in a split second that, wait a minute, this guy's going to rip us apart. But if I EMP him, he can't get away. And getting Shax dead for that last fight is huge. And so Doha's choosing him as a target over Ripper, over even the other Sombra. As you see, Blase just pulled the plug and got out of there.
Yeah, I think you notice Doha's impact on specifically Kings Row on the Sombra play. And then I also think the control maps, whether it was playing the Pharah or playing the Sombra. I think that's where he really made his impact on the series. And that's ultimately how the Dallas Fuel go about winning the series. We talked about how fast he was doing, charging up his EMPs significantly faster, better usage of the EMPs a lot of the times as well. In these Sombra mirrors, it's such a huge, impactful ultimate that it needs to be worthwhile. And he was able to make his good today.
This is a hero pool. This is a metagame that demands the very best from your Sombras, right? You need to be able to make decisions like that on your own. Do I try and EMP the Zen, or do I go somewhere else with this? In terms of how these guys set up in these fights, you need to definitely have a bit of a brain on you. I love what we saw from Doha on the Pharah. I mean, that's a great pick for him now. I mean, Dallas have obviously two really strong options in that regard, and obviously Sparkle is a very good tracer, and that's why I want to see him on that one. Dallas Field dodged a bullet, though. Let's make it very clear.
Oh, yeah.
They still want to be in the conversation here for a Countdown Cup trip to Hawaii. They want to make it every time. They can still do it for sure. That was a shaky one. They need to definitely tighten things up towards the end of this tournament cycle. We'll be back, of course, ladies and gentlemen, with some more Overwatch League on your Saturday. There's still 2 more matches to be played. But before we get to them, we're going to have some messages.
Welcome to our game break, Dallas and London, map 5. That's not something I thought I would be saying right here. However, here we are. That's exactly what transpired on the server. Now, Costa, should the Fuel or their fans be slightly worried that this match was played so close, or was this just a matter of London really stepping it up?
I think the answer is a bit of both. I don't think Dallas is playing anywhere near the caliber that we know them for so far throughout this season. They are struggling not just in individually, but on team coordination. They are very disjointed. A lot of their EMPs not being able to be followed up on, not being on the same page, which is very weird for the Dallas Fuel because that's what we know them for. On the other end, I think London Spitfire played quite well. They went toe-to-toe with the Dallas Fuel, and I think they were almost the better team. Where I think they really started to struggle in the series was they were just losing it when it mattered. You know, let's talk about that Volskaya overtime push where they had the advantage to get the win instead of the draw. Huddy rolls in and dies 3 times before anyone else has really done anything, and that just sort of goes to show when it really comes to crunch time, when their backs are against the wall, they seem to drop the ball. Same thing happened on that last control map. So it is unfortunate. We do need to talk about Shax though. Shax, I think, had a phenomenal game on that Tracer head-to-head against Sparkle. Sparkle's someone that we didn't know for a Tracer coming into this season, while Shax is. You can see here, I think Shax had a much better KDA. As you can see here, only died 4 times, much better, well, not much. It has a better pulse bomb kill ratio. Everything else is pretty close for the most part. So went toe-to-toe with Sparkle, which is impressive for Shax. But everyone else, you know, really struggled a little bit. I think Kellex and Reaper had some questionable support ults when it really mattered most.
Also, keep in mind there, I mean, I think it deserves to be said that, yes, Sparkle did more hero damage and final blows, but he was playing against Hardy, and Shax was playing against Fearless. So there's a bit of a difference there. Like, if I'm playing Tracer against a Wrecking Ball that's not considered one of the best, yes, I'm going to sit on that Wrecking Ball and just build out all the pulse bombs and get all the hero damage. So I do think that Shax actually had a significant impact on this match. And I think for the Dallas Fuel, that's one of those challenges where you're not going to go up against Tracers like these unless you're actually playing in Hawaii against like the Shanghai Dragons, Leave on the Tracer, Pelican on the Tracer, of course, on Atlanta Rain. But in general, Shax is a big difference maker here for on Spitfire. So as Dallas Fuel look forward to playing against the San Francisco Shock tomorrow, that could be a bit of a different story. Maybe then Dallas Fuel will find themselves a little bit more comfortable being able to play their own game because they're not under pressure from someone like Shax throughout the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, even when the rest of the London Spitfire tried to put their spaghetti, Shax was right there trying to pick him up at least. So really, really well done from Shax here. And overall, London Spitfire, a little bit too late, but they're really starting to look better, better than at the beginning of the season. And shown us, why are you smiling like that, Reinforce? I'm just trying to be positive.
Oh, I'm just thinking of Danny and the LA Valiant.